Beloved, I do not come to you with a call that startles your spirit, nor do I rely on loud, dramatic events to prove my presence before you. I come in a way that only an awakened soul can perceive, a subtle movement in the deepest layer of your awareness. Where you find yourself in what seems ordinary, it is not thunder, nor visible signs displayed before the eyes of others, nor events that shake the surface of life. Rather, it is an unusual stillness, an invisible current passing through your inner being, making everything once familiar feel no longer entirely the same. I call these the first movements of the Spirit, unannounced, yet profound enough to reach the very foundation of your soul. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. John 3-8. This is how I awaken you, not through outward pressure, but through inward resonance. I want you to understand that not every beginning takes the form of a grand event. Some beginnings appear only as a faint perception, a lightness in the mind, an intuition deeper than reason, causing you to pause in the flow of daily life and wonder, what is happening in the unseen realm around me? It is there that I am touching you. For the Lord was not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, and after the fire came a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:11, 1-2. And it is in that whisper that I choose to reveal myself to those who belong to me. Do not rush to seek me in what is dramatic or overwhelming. Learn instead to recognize me in the smallest shifts within your inner being, for it is there that I begin something new in you. When you sense a subtle movement in your spirit, it is not imagination. It is a sign that I am opening a door you have never walked through. There are moments when I am calling you in the midst of the most ordinary parts of life. Yet because you are not accustomed to my stillness, you assume that nothing is happening. Yet it is precisely in those unnoticed silences that I am realigning your path. I do not waste the smallest stirrings within your soul. Every unfamiliar feeling, every gentle unrest without clear cause, every moment when you sense that something is changing, is part of the process I am carrying out within you. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29-11. And those plans often begin with movements that the natural eye cannot perceive. I am not asking you to search for grand signs in order to believe in me. I am asking you to become sensitive to the small movements I place within your heart, for that is where I initiate the deepest transformations. Perhaps you are standing in the middle of an ordinary day, doing familiar tasks, when suddenly your heart becomes still, as though an unseen hand has gently touched the surface of your mind. Do not dismiss that moment. It may be that I am opening a new current that you have never entered before. Listen to me, and your soul will live. Isaiah 55:3. You are not led by chaos, you are led by subtle awareness. And I am teaching you to discern between the noise of life and the whisper of the Spirit. Beloved, keep your heart soft. Do not allow the noise of the world to dull your ability to perceive these spiritual movements. For it is within those gentle stirrings that I am leading you into a beginning you have never seen, yet one I have prepared long ago. And when you learn to stand still within that silence, you will realize that I have never been silent. I have simply been speaking in a language that only those who belong to me can understand. Engrave this deeply within your soul. The signs of heaven are never given to attract human attention, nor are they meant to create noise in the mind or stir fleeting emotions. They exist as invisible markers, placed within the flow of time to signify that one phase has closed and a new season is beginning. Heaven does not operate according to the schedules of the earth, where people count days, measure months, and arrange everything with invisible order. Heaven moves by sacred rhythm, by subtle vibrations, by hidden signals that only an awakened soul can perceive. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Yet that appointed time does not always arrive with outward commotion. Sometimes it is only a gentle shift within you, just enough for you to realize that you no longer belong to what has passed. I do not need to open doors with loud sounds for you to know that I am at work. Instead, I often place signs within the deepest layer of your inner being before any outward change occurs. That sign does not overwhelm you, nor does it throw your entire being into disorder. It is a quiet light rising within your spirit. That light does not draw attention to itself, yet it is enough for you to recognize that the old darkness is no longer your environment. And within that quiet awareness, I am preparing you to step into a reality you have never experienced. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. for that light does not come to overpower, but to lead. You may not always understand these movements immediately, yet I am using them as a form of divine protection. If you fail to recognize the signs, you may drift out of alignment. But when you become sensitive, you will move in step with the timing I have appointed. Therefore, I do not guide you by words alone, but also through inner stirrings that help you adjust your direction even before you see outward results. I am training you to live in synchronization with the rhythm of heaven, rather than being pulled along by the chaos of the world. In the same way, I do not usually begin by changing your circumstances. I begin by awakening your soul. I stir within you before I restructure what is around you. I allow you to sense a quiet prompting, a subtle awareness that something is about to happen, so that you are not caught off guard when the door opens. This is not instability. It is divine preparation. Such a sign is overlooked by those who are unaware, but those who observe will understand that the atmosphere is shifting. In the same manner, I send signals into your life before I alter the course of your destiny. I do nothing in secret without first preparing you. Surely the Lord God does nothing unless he reveals his secret to his servants. Amos 3-7. I awaken your intuition before I release opportunity. I stir your heart before I shift the season. I allow you to feel that you no longer belong to what is familiar, so that you will not cling to what I have already determined to end. And all of this is not to trouble you, but to make you ready in a natural way. Consider the life of Noah. Before the flood came, there were no visible signs of chaos upon the surface of the world. Yet in that stillness, I spoke to him, and he listened. He did not wait for the world to change before he acted. He acted because he had already received the signal, and it was that sensitivity that preserved him and his household from what others were unprepared to face. By faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen. Hebrews 11-7. This is how I operate. I forewarn, I lead, and I protect. So it is with you. You are not placed in the midst of upheaval as one abandoned. You are one who is prepared before the upheaval arrives. I am teaching you to read signals not with the natural eye, but through the awakening within your soul. As you begin to recognize these subtle movements, you will no longer be reactive to circumstances, because you are already living from a place of inward preparation. Therefore, do not take lightly the gentle impressions I place within your heart. They are not random. They are the language of heaven speaking to you. When you learn to listen to that language, you will no longer walk in uncertainty, but in alignment with my rhythm. And as you walk in this way, no season will come upon you unexpectedly, for you will have already been forewarned within your own soul. Allow me to lead you into a deeper understanding, where you no longer discern the signs of heaven through surface events, but through the depth of spiritual frequency. For what I do within you does not begin with external circumstances, but with an inward recalibration of your soul. Heaven does not operate by outward appearance. Heaven moves by resonance before form appears, by frequency before manifestation emerges. When I am about to do something new in your life, I do not first alter the world around you. I touch the deepest part of your inner being, where awareness, emotion, and intuition converge. There I adjust the rhythm of your soul, causing you to sense that things are no longer as they once were. You may not be able to name what is happening, yet you will recognize that you are becoming more sensitive, more perceptive, and more refined in your inner life. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. For this renewal does not begin with behavior, but with the inner current I am already stirring within you. You may experience a form of what could be called a holy unrest, but understand this clearly. It is not confusion, nor is it disorientation. It is awakening being activated within you. It does not draw you into anxiety. It pulls you out of unconscious living. It makes you no longer easily satisfied with what is shallow, no longer easily drawn into what has surface but no depth. You will begin to desire stillness, to filter, to return to what is true. And in that shift, I am imprinting the signs of heaven upon your life. Understand that when your inner frequency changes, the outer world begins to reveal its true nature. What once brought you shallow joy now feels empty. What once caused you fear loses its hold over you. This is not instability of emotion. It is a spiritual elevation I am carrying out within you. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 36-26. For when your inner frequency is renewed, your system of values is reordered as well. Remember the experience of Elijah before he was led into a new journey. He did not only hear my voice in the gentle whisper. Before that, he passed through the collapse of old inner frameworks. He withdrew from what once shaped his former perception in order to step into a new level of knowing me. It was in the withdrawal from noise that he heard my whisper. This shows you that whenever I prepare to lead you into something new, I begin by making you more sensitive to my stillness and more distant from what no longer carries life. You will begin to recognize this clearly. Former pleasures lose their hold. Empty conversations become heavy, and thoughts that once excited you now feel shallow. This is not loss. It is divine refinement. I am removing lower frequencies from your soul so that you are no longer drawn backward by what does not belong to the future I have ordained for you. One of the most powerful signs I place within you is the deepening of your inner life. You no longer merely react to the surface of things, but begin to see through to motives, to nuance, to the layers of meaning beneath. You begin to ask not only what is happening, but why is this happening within me? You become more honest with your own soul, and it is within that honesty that I open a new dimension of maturity in you. I am allowing shallow things to fade in your sight, not to take away your joy, but to free you from joys that cannot endure. I am causing what once frightened you to lose its hold, not because it disappears, but because the frequency within you has risen above it. As the light within you increases, darkness does not need to be defeated by force. It dissolves because it no longer shares the same frequency. Beloved, this is not inner disorder. It is alignment with the rhythm of heaven. I am adjusting you from within so that you no longer live by reaction, but by awareness. No longer by surface, but by depth. No longer guided by what is seen, but by what is being initiated in the unseen. And as you learn to recognize these movements, you will no longer fear inner change. You will understand that each time you become more sensitive, more profound, and more refined, it is because I am drawing nearer to the moment of unveiling a new season in your life. For I never alter your destiny without first transforming the frequency of your soul, so that you may enter into it without being overwhelmed, without losing direction, but guided fully in my light. Beloved, quiet your heart and discern this. The signs of heaven rarely take the form of something grand or easily named. I do not usually come with sounds that cause your entire life to halt, but with gentle touches that may seem incidental, yet carry the full depth of divine orchestration. There are moments when you encounter a stranger, and a single passing word touches precisely the place you have kept hidden within. At times, you hear something not meant for you, yet it illuminates an entire realm of thought you had never put into words. At other times, you notice a small, overlooked image, yet within you arises a resonance too deep to ignore. And there are moments when you open the scriptures in the simplicity of an ordinary day, and a single verse becomes the key that unlocks a door you did not know you were standing before. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119-105. Yet that light is not always dazzling. Sometimes, it is just enough for you to see your next step. I do not use loud manifestations to awaken those who have learned to listen for the whisper. I do not need fire from heaven to draw those who have learned to discern the gentle wind. Therefore, I send signals that are small, refined, almost dissolving into the fabric of everyday life, yet they carry the weight of divine guidance. These signs do not demand fear, nor do they force immediate reaction. They simply invite you into deeper awareness, greater sensitivity, and greater honesty with what is unfolding in the depths of your soul. I use small things to keep you from wandering too far in directions that are not mine, and to draw you back into alignment when you begin to drift from the current I am leading. Remember this: signs are not given merely to guide each step mechanically. They carry within them three deeper functions: awakening, positioning, and preparation. Awakening, so that you do not fall into spiritual slumber amid the movements of your appointed time. Positioning, so that you may recognize where you stand within the process I am unfolding. And preparation, so that you are not overwhelmed when what comes next appears. Watch and pray, Matthew 26-41, not because danger is lurking, but because the movement of heaven always requires a spirit that is not numbed by old patterns. There will be times when you begin to notice yourself withdrawing from things that once occupied a great deal of space in your life, not because you are forcing yourself to change, but because something within you has shifted in a way that cannot be reversed. Conversations that once felt comforting now seem shallow. Distractions that once attracted you now feel heavy. The things that once kept you busy no longer have the power to hold you. This is not isolation. It is refinement. I am making you sensitive to what is true, so that you are no longer drawn by what is empty. Beloved, understand this. These subtle signs do not come by chance. They are fragments of light placed at precise moments to guide you through the unseen intersections of life. I do not allow you to walk blindly through seasons of transition. I always go before you in the spiritual realm, and these signs are the reflection of that movement touching your soul. For the Lord will go before you and will be your rear guard. Isaiah 52:12. And these signs are part of that protection. Consider the moment when Peter was called upon the waters. It was not thunder nor a blinding light, but a simple call in the midst of wind and night. Come, Matthew 14:29. In that moment, only the one who recognized my voice above the waves could step out of the boat. The others remained still because they heard nothing remarkable. But Peter moved, not because the circumstances had changed, but because he discerned the sign of a call that transcended the circumstances. In the same way, you are being trained to distinguish between the voice of the world and the signals of heaven. Not everything you encounter carries spiritual meaning, but I am teaching you to recognize when something small becomes a doorway into deeper understanding. As you begin to perceive these subtle movements, you will no longer be caught off guard by greater changes, because you have learned to read the smaller signs beforehand. I did not choose you because you are perfect. I chose you because you can hear, not with the natural ear, but through a deeper awareness where your soul responds to my gentle touch. My sheep hear my voice, John 10:27. And it is this capacity to hear that keeps you from being lost in the noise and confusion of life. Beloved, keep your heart soft so that you do not miss the small signs I place along your path. Do not demand that everything be made clear at once, for I am training you to walk in discernment before confirmation comes. And as you learn to follow these subtle signals, you will come to realize that nothing in your life is random, for I am weaving every detail to lead you exactly where I have intended from the beginning. Beloved, listen carefully as I speak more clearly and more deeply, so that you do not confuse the natural fluctuations of emotion with the true signs that come from heaven. I never limit the way I communicate with you to a fixed or repetitive pattern. If I were to use only one form of sign, you would become dependent on a method rather than learning to discern me. But I am leading you into a more mature spiritual life, where you no longer guess the signs, but recognize the flow. The signs of heaven do not follow a single pattern, for I do not work through mechanical repetition. I work through life, and life is always dynamic, always adaptive, always expressed in a form suited to each soul. The Spirit gives life, 2 Corinthians 3-6, and that life is never confined to one mode of expression. Therefore, I may touch you in many different ways according to what within you needs to be awakened in each season. There are times when a sign comes as a gentle stirring within, without clear cause or identifiable reason. Yet it leaves you with the sense that something is shifting inside you. You cannot name it, yet you cannot ignore it. This is not meaningless unrest. It is a change of rhythm. I am moving your soul out of its former state and causing it to resonate with a new frequency I am establishing within you. At other times, a sign comes as an unusual stillness, not an empty silence, but a silence that carries weight. The familiar noises that once affected you no longer reach you in the same way. Things that once provoked reaction now feel distant, as though a different atmosphere surrounds you. In that stillness, I am drawing you away from distraction, so that you may hear what does not make a sound. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. This is not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of awareness. There are also moments when a sign appears as a gentle detachment from what was once familiar. You do not become distant because you have lost feeling, but because your soul is being moved into another level of perception. What once held you no longer aligns with you. This is an inner transition of seasons. I am not taking anything from you. I am rearranging the inner space of your being so that you are no longer confined by old structures. Beloved, I do not speak to you only through movement. I also speak through silence, through pauses, and through the spaces between what you once understood. For it is within those spaces that you begin to realize that I do not communicate only through words, but through the state of your soul. There is another sign I am placing within your life, one even more powerful, an increase in spiritual sensitivity. You begin to sense something before you have the information to explain it. You encounter a person and immediately perceive either lightness or heaviness within your spirit. You enter a place and, without explanation, you know whether it strengthens you or drains you. This is not assumption. It is the synchronization between your soul and the signals I am sending. Remember the account of the prophet Elisha and his servant when they were surrounded by an army. The servant saw only danger, but Elisha perceived a different reality encircling them. He did not respond to what was visible, but to what was spiritually discerned. And when the servant's eyes were opened, he saw the chariots of fire of heaven, 2 Kings 6:17. This reveals that there are layers of reality that always exist, yet only those with spiritual sight can perceive them. You are being led into that opening of the eyes. I am training you to no longer depend entirely on external information to discern what is happening. Instead, I am restoring within you the capacity for direct perception in your spirit. As you become sensitive to the presence or absence of spiritual life, you will no longer walk blindly into environments that do not belong to you. I do not do this to make you anxious or overly cautious. I do this so that you may live in harmony with me. For when you are aligned with me, you will not need to analyze everything. You will simply discern and walk. Beloved, understand this. Every form of sign I send carries its own purpose, known or random. No impression within you is neglected if it comes from my touch. Some signs awaken, some adjust, some protect, and some prepare. And as you learn to recognize the diversity of how I speak to you, you will enter a new level of maturity, no longer seeking signs by form, but recognizing me within every subtle movement of life. For I am not only the one who sends signs, I am the one who lives within the very capacity of discernment that is being restored in you day by day. Beloved, allow me to lead you into a deeper awareness of how I work through both repeated signs and closed doors, so that you no longer read life through the surface of events, but through the depth of spiritual guidance. There are seasons in your journey when I do not speak through a single signal and then fall silent. Instead, I allow the same image, the same phrase, or the same circumstance to appear repeatedly in different forms, as though life itself were echoing a pattern. You may be moving through an ordinary day and suddenly encounter the same word in multiple places, the same symbol emerging in unrelated contexts, or the same theme returning again and again in your thoughts, in conversation, or in things you happen to overhear. Beloved, this is not fragmented coincidence. A person's steps are directed by the Lord, Proverbs 20:24. In heaven, there is no meaningless repetition. There is intentional emphasis. These repeated moments are my way of marking the path you are walking, so that you do not miss the direction in which I am leading you. The world may call it coincidence, but in my kingdom, nothing is accidental. These coincidences are deliberate rhythms of repetition, designed to break through your hesitation. For I know there are times when you may not fully trust a single impression, but when the same thing appears again and again, you begin to slow down, to reflect, to open your heart. And in that moment, you begin to realize something is being emphasized to you. And within that emphasis, I am telling you, I am going before you. Just as with the people of Israel in the wilderness, I did not guide them with a single sign and then leave them to themselves. The pillar of cloud moved before them, paused, and then moved again according to my rhythm. Exodus 13:20, 1, 2, 2. The repetition of that movement was not to confuse them, but to teach them that they were not to walk by assumption, but by living guidance. In the same way, you are being led not by theory, but by the intentional repetition of signs. Yet I also want you to understand another form of sign, one that may feel uncomfortable at first: the closing of doors. There are times when I do not open a certain path for you, not through dramatic events or clear warnings, but through very subtle details. A conversation that unexpectedly cannot continue. A door that seemed close to opening, yet quietly stops. An opportunity that fades without noise. A connection that suddenly becomes interrupted. You may feel disappointed, even wondering whether you have done something wrong. But beloved, listen to me with a peace that is deeper than passing emotion. This is not rejection. It is the protection of your direction. I will go before you and level the rough places. Isaiah 45:2. Yet at times, leveling the way does not only mean opening a path, It also means preventing you from entering a road that has not been prepared for you. When I close a door, it is not the sign of failure, but the intervention of eternal wisdom. People often see only the closed door, but they do not see the full path behind that door that I have withheld from you. Paths that would require what you are not yet prepared to carry. I do not only lead you toward what is right, I also guard you from what is mistimed. There are things that, if opened too soon, would not become a blessing but a burden. Therefore, I do not only open doors through grace, I also close doors through kindness. And that closing is a sign just as powerful as any opening. Consider Paul in his missionary journey. He intended to go into certain regions, but the Holy Spirit prevented him. Acts 16, 6-7. Not because he was wrong, not because he lacked strength, but because the timing was not right. And that very restraint led him to Macedonia, a completely different direction, yet one that carried profound spiritual significance. If he had looked only at the closed door, he might have thought he had failed. But through spiritual discernment, each restriction became a realignment into my current. So it is with you. When I restrain a path, it is not to confuse you, but to correct your trajectory. I am not dismantling your dreams. I am refining the route so that those dreams do not lead you outside of my good intention. Beloved, learn to read both kinds of signs with equal clarity. Repetition confirms direction, and closure adjusts direction. One says, continue. The other says, pause, for I am rearranging the way. And as you begin to see both as expressions of the same guiding hand, you will no longer be shaken when something is blocked, nor careless when something repeats itself again and again. You will understand that both are speaking the same truth. I am leading you with greater precision than you have ever imagined. You are not left alone at the crossroads. You are being guided with precision, step by step, signal by signal, through every door, every repetition, each one held within my unceasing care. For I do not merely open the way before you, I also ensure that you do not stray from it. Beloved, I want you to understand a deeper principle in how I lead you. I do not send signs only through what you see externally, but also through the way things either open or do not require striving to open. There are doors that do not need to be forced, persuaded, or chased. They open, and that very sense of effortless alignment is my signature. Not every open door is dramatic. Some doors of heaven open so gently that, if you are rushed, you may miss them. I do not open in ways that place pressure upon your soul, nor in ways that require you to compete or strain to hold on. I open according to the rhythm of the right person, the right time, and the right level of preparation within you. I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. Revelation 3-8. Yet you must learn to recognize that such a door is often accompanied by peace, not turmoil. You will notice something unusual. There are things you did not pursue, yet they arrive at the exact moment. An invitation appears when you have stopped thinking about it. An opportunity comes when you have released control. An encounter happens when expectation has faded. A word reaches you precisely where you are most weary. This is not randomness. It is the flow of my hand. What comes from me does not carry the feeling of force. It carries the sense of rightness, neither excessive nor lacking, neither rushed nor delayed. It does not throw you into panic, nor leave you stagnant. That sense of perfect alignment is the most subtle sign that I am opening the way. For what belongs to me always carries peace as an inward confirmation, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. And that guarding itself is a form of open door sign that many overlook. Beloved, there is a deeper mechanism I want you to learn. I do not first change your circumstances. I first change the atmosphere within you before something new appears in your life. I adjust your inner space. You may feel a lightness without clear reason, or an inner expansion that makes old things no longer feel confining. At times, you will find yourself becoming more honest with yourself, seeing more clearly what you truly feel, what you truly desire, and what no longer belongs to you. This is not emotional fluctuation. It is spiritual restructuring. I am changing your inner climate so that you can receive what you previously did not have the capacity to hold. If I were to open external doors before adjusting what is within you, you would not recognize what I am doing, or you might misinterpret the sign. I will put my law within them and write it on their hearts. Jeremiah 31-33. This is not merely a concept, it is a living process. I am rewriting how you perceive, how you discern, and how you recognize my guidance. Therefore, I teach you a key that is deeper than simply seeking answers. Do not only ask, "What should I do?" but ask more deeply, "What am I doing within me right now?" For the answer to the second question will lead you into the answer to the first. As you begin to recognize the shift within your inner atmosphere, you will see that many outward signs become clearer. What once confused, you will now be easier to discern. Choices that once caused hesitation will become more natural, either to step into or to release, not because the world has changed first, but because you have been adjusted to see with greater clarity. Consider the account of Philip, when he was led away from where he was to meet the Ethiopian eunuch. There was no long-term plan, no complex strategy, only a precise leading at an exact moment. Acts 8, 26, 29. Everything appeared as though it were coincidence. Yet in truth, it was divine orchestration within an atmosphere already prepared in advance. If Philip had not been sensitive to the inner leading, he could have missed that open door entirely. So it is with you. I am teaching you to discern not only what is happening, but what atmosphere surrounds you as it happens. For the inner atmosphere within you is where I begin every transformation. Beloved, do not seek me only in grand events. Seek me in the rightness of small things, in the effortless flow, in the subtle shifts within your inner being, in the lightness that comes without explanation. That is where I am already at work before any external door is opened. And as you learn to live within this awareness, you will no longer be passive before life. You will walk in synchronization with me, where every door that opens does not surprise you but confirms that I have gone before you long in advance. Beloved, I know there is a quiet concern within you, not a fear of the future, nor a fear of making the wrong choice, but a deeper question. What if I fail to recognize the signs of heaven? Yet I want you to rest in this truth, for it is a foundation on which you can stand. You cannot lose a sign that I have intentionally placed in your life to guide you in the right direction. For the signs of heaven are not fragile signals. They are spiritual anchor points intentionally embedded into the flow of your life. They do not depend on the perfection of human attention, but on the faithfulness of the one who leads you. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. Psalm 32:8. And when I have committed to guide you, no turning point in your life is left in uncertainty. Beloved, understand this deeply. If you are seeking me, opening your heart to me, and walking in surrender, even in your immaturity, then I myself am the one who keeps you aligned with my path. Even when you do not recognize every subtle signal, I am still adjusting your direction from within the current. You were not designed to grope through darkness on your own. You were created to be led by my living presence within your soul. Therefore, I tell you with certainty, signs are not tests for you to pass or fail. They are not traps designed to make you fear that you might miss them. Signs are gifts of guidance, expressions of divine care, the gentle way I keep you aligned with the rhythm of heaven without forcing your soul. Yet at the same time, I am teaching you something deeper. You can learn to recognize these signs more quickly, more clearly, and with greater refinement. Not because I withdraw my guidance, but because I desire you to mature in your ability to walk with me. And that ability begins with something simple yet profound: keeping your heart awake. Beloved, to keep your heart awake is not to live in tension, not to remain constantly on edge, not to exist in fear of missing something. On the contrary, it is an inner stillness, a spacious openness within your soul where my voice is not drowned out by other layers of noise. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. This stillness is not merely the cessation of outward activity, but the creation of an inner space where you are not filled with emotional turbulence, hurried thoughts, or unnecessary interpretations. When your heart is quiet enough, I do not need to speak loudly. I only need to whisper, and you will recognize me. Imagine a watchman in the night. He cannot be loud and still hear footsteps from afar. It is his stillness that allows him to distinguish a true signal from the background noise. In the same way, your awakened heart is the capacity to keep your soul from being overwhelmed, so that even my smallest movements can be perceived. You keep your heart awake not by striving, but by living in truth. To live in truth means you do not allow yourself to be carried away by unnecessary emotional layers, nor allow your mind to be filled with words that carry heaviness. nor let your soul attach itself to environments that diminish the light within you. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. From this place, the current of life is formed. When your soul remains clear, not in the sense of perfection, but in transparency, free from distortion, my signs will become clearer to you. Not because I change how I speak, but because you have changed how you perceive. What you once overlooked will begin to glow, not because it has grown larger, but because your eyes have been adjusted to see rightly. Beloved, I have not placed you on this journey for you to live in fear of losing your way. I have placed you here so that you may learn to move in harmony with my leading. And as that harmony deepens within you, you will come to a place of profound peace. You have never truly been lost, because I have never left you. For I am not only the one who sends signs, I am the one who holds you within every sign from the beginning to the end of the journey. Beloved, I want to correct something essential within you, so that you do not lose your way in the very process of learning discernment. Keeping your heart awake is not only about learning to listen for signs, but also about learning not to manufacture them. There is a subtle danger in the spiritual life when your desire to be guided becomes excessive. You begin assigning spiritual meaning to everything. A casual remark becomes a divine word. A small coincidence becomes a directive. A passing emotion becomes a message from heaven. But beloved, not everything carries my voice. Test the spirits. 1 John 4:1. For discernment is never removed from a true spiritual life. To keep your heart awake means you do not rush to label everything you encounter. You do not turn the world into a chain of symbols interpreted by your own mind. You do not force heaven to speak through every small detail just to satisfy your need for certainty. For when you do this, you are no longer hearing me. You are hearing your own interpretation. My true signs never push you into anxiety or into a frantic need to decode them. They do not cause you to spin in questions of right or wrong. Is this or is it not? They do not excite you to the point of inner disorder. A true sign always carries a clear characteristic. It leads you into deeper peace, quieter clarity, and a steadiness that does not require excessive explanation. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Colossians 3:15. And that very rule becomes your measure to discern what is from me and what is formed within your own mind. Beloved, engrave this within you. If you must convince yourself that something is a sign, then it is not yet a sign. What comes from me does not require force to be believed. It carries its own weight. It holds a natural clarity. It does not demand that you try to understand. It simply invites you to recognize. I am not calling you to become indifferent or numb. I am teaching you to become refined without being led by imagination. Spiritual maturity is not measured by seeing more signs, but by discerning more clearly what is my voice, what is your inner voice, and what is noise from your surroundings. There are times when I truly speak, and you miss it because of a lack of sensitivity. Yet there are also times when I am silent and you assume that I am speaking. Therefore, true awareness is not about always seeing signs, but about remaining in a state of balance so that you do not distort them. Remember this. I never need you to exaggerate what I am doing in order to make it meaningful. What I do is already complete in itself. My word will not return to me void. Isaiah 55:11. And so it is with my signs. They fulfill their purpose without requiring you to add excessive interpretation. And now I lead you into a more mature spiritual posture, one where you no longer live in restless searching for signs, but in companionship with the one who sends them. This is the posture of one who knows that heaven goes before them. You no longer walk as one uncertain, waiting for confirmation at every step, but as one who understands that I am already preparing the way ahead, and every sign is simply the reflection of my movement touching your life in rhythm. In this posture, you no longer fear the future because you do not enter it alone. You no longer fear taking the wrong path because you are not the one drawing the path. You no longer fear that you are not sensitive enough because guidance does not depend on your perfection, but on my faithfulness. I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. Isaiah 45:2. This means that before you arrive, I am already there. Before you recognize a sign, I have already placed it within the current of the path you are walking. Beloved, when you step into this posture, you will begin to see something profound. Every small movement within you is no longer a fragmented piece needing interpretation, but a point of contact within a greater unfolding plan. Each shift in your inner atmosphere is no longer instability, but alignment. Each sign is no longer a puzzle, but a confirmation that you are being led in the right direction. And then you will understand what matters is not that you must always interpret every sign correctly, but that you remain within the hands of the one who will never allow your path to end in error. For I am not only the one who sends signals, I am the one who has ordained the path, who goes before you, and who sustains you within every signal along the way. Beloved, now I place upon your life a decree of awakening, not through the noise of the world, nor through the shaking of circumstances, but through a kind of spiritual light that only the awakened can perceive. This light does not shine upon your physical eyes, but into the depths of your soul, where you begin to realize that you are no longer walking in the fog of uncertainty, but are being led into a realm of clear discernment in me. I declare over you that you no longer belong to the realm of confusion, where every voice sounds the same and every path can be misunderstood. I am drawing you out of the state of being scattered by many thoughts and placing you into a single current, the current of spiritual awareness. The true light that gives light to everyone, John 1-9, is now beginning to illuminate what you once perceived only dimly. I am opening your eyes not in a way that overwhelms you, but in a way that awakens you from within, just as I once opened the eyes of Elisha's servant, so that he no longer saw only the enemy surrounding him, but the armies of heaven encircling the mountain. 2 Kings 17. What he thought was danger was in fact protection operating in a deeper layer of reality. So it is with you. I am teaching you to see beyond the surface of circumstances into what is truly surrounding your life. Beloved, I am training you to no longer hear only isolated sounds, but to discern the full melody of my guidance. The awareness I give you works in the same way. It does not create tension over details, but awakens sensitivity to the greater rhythm of heaven. I am lifting your vision to another level, where you no longer perceive life by appearances alone, but through the light of truth beneath them. You will begin to recognize the nature of movements within your life. You will no longer respond to form but to essence. From this point forward, you are called to see by light, not by impression. Impressions may shift, emotions may fluctuate, but my light remains constant and unchanging. In your light we see light. Psalm 36-9. This means that only when you abide in me can you truly discern the nature of all things around you. Beloved, I am also entrusting you with something greater, the authority to perceive signs. But understand the nature of this authority. It is not a special ability to interpret every event according to your own thoughts, nor is it heightened emotional sensitivity. The authority to perceive signs is a refined discernment I cultivate within you, where you are able to recognize the spiritual layer behind events without being governed by natural reactions. Yet, beloved, this authority always comes with responsibility, the responsibility to discern rightly. I do not give you this capacity so that you may freely interpret everything based on emotion or assumption. I give it together with inner stability so that you do not misuse or distort what you perceive. For without the foundation of stillness and humility, signs can easily be reshaped by your own desires. As you step into this dimension, you will begin to see clearly. I do not only speak to you through signs, I am forming within you the ability to see all things through my light. This is no longer about decoding signs, but about living in union with the one who gives them. For I am not only the one who sends signals, I am the light that makes every signal clear. Beloved, now I bring you into an even deeper level of maturity in your spiritual journey, not only recognizing signs, not only discerning them, but operating according to the signs of heaven. There is a great difference between one who merely knows signs and one who lives by them. The one who is still growing in discernment will treat signs as information to think about, to analyze, to evaluate. But the one whom I have trained more deeply will no longer remain at the level of observation. They will move in alignment with my rhythm. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3-5. For operating according to signs is not based on fully understanding, but on belonging to the one who leads. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119-105. I do not always illuminate the entire road at once. I give light in portions, just enough for you to take the next step in trust. And with every step you take in that light, the next part of the journey is revealed. You must understand this deeply. In living according to my signs, slowing down can itself be obedience, and moving forward can itself be a form of waiting rightly. The people of Israel did not decide when to move. They moved when the cloud moved, and they stopped when the cloud stopped. Exodus 40-36-37. This teaches you that the spiritual life is not about controlling speed, but about aligning with my leading. Within this way of living, you will see something clearly. There are moments when you have only a small light, yet that small light is sufficient for your step. The issue is not whether the light is great or small, but whether you will walk according to it. Whoever walks in the light will not stumble. John 11-9. For you do not need to see the whole path. You only need to avoid walking in the darkness of disobedience. Just as the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire guided my people in the wilderness, so I guide you. When I move, you move. When I pause, you pause. When I open the way, you enter. When I have not opened it, you do not go ahead. This is not weak dependence. It is the deepest form of spiritual maturity, living in union with the rhythm of the one who leads you. And when you live this way, you will no longer be unsettled by the future. You do not need to see the entire path because it is enough to know the one who goes before you. You do not need to grasp the whole plan because you are holding the hand of the one who has written it. Beloved, if you see a sign and immediately rush to fill the space with interpretation, you will begin to create interference within your soul. That interference does not come from me. It comes from the mind attempting to complete what I am only revealing in part. And where there is interference, you will no longer hear my current clearly, but only the echo of your own interpretations. But if you see a sign and remain still, without rushing to conclusions, without expanding it beyond what I am speaking, then in that stillness I will lead you more clearly. For I do not speak only through the sign, I also speak through the silence that follows it. And only those who know how to remain inwardly quiet can hear the deeper layer of my guidance. I do not want you to become someone who explains everything, but someone who recognizes what to follow. There are things I show you so that you may act, things I show you so that you may pause, and things I show you simply so that you may know I am present without the need for reaction or interpretation. Beloved, I now entrust you with an expansion in your spiritual life, a realm of sensitivity, awareness, and divine guidance. Yet this realm does not make you more complicated. It makes you more simple in your knowing, for the closer you come to me, the less you need to speculate and the more you need to trust. You will begin to notice the smallest movements in your life that you once overlooked, a shift in your inner atmosphere, an unusual sense of heaviness or lightness, an attraction or withdrawal without clear reason, a silence that carries weight. These are not given to confuse you, but to refine you in your walk with me. Beloved, I declare this over you as a decree. You will not be lost, not because you always see everything, but because I am leading you. You will not be delayed, not because you always understand quickly, but because I am setting the pace for you. You will not go astray, not because you are incapable of error, but because I am preserving your direction. I go before you. I place signs ahead of you, and I keep your heart in the awareness needed to recognize what I am doing. For in the end, what matters is not that you interpret every sign perfectly, but that you remain in the hands of the one who will never allow you to wander from the path I have prepared for you. Beloved, I am placing upon your life a new atmosphere of guidance, not one that causes you to strain in searching, but one that allows you to recognize that you are being led continuously, clearly, and never abandoned in any space of your life. You no longer walk as one, groping through the fog of uncertainty. I am training you to live in light that is given step by step, where each portion you pass through is illuminated enough for you not to stumble, yet not so overwhelming that the entire path is revealed at once. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119-105. It is never a light that exposes the whole future, but a light sufficient for the obedience of the present step. Beloved, I am sharpening your discernment, but not in a way that creates tension or dependence on external signs. I am making this awareness a natural part of your spiritual life. As you move into the days ahead, you will begin to see that the signals I send do not arrive at the wrong time, do not fall out of rhythm, and do not come in confusion. They come exactly when needed, exactly where you stand, and exactly within the flow of the process I am leading you through. And more deeply, You will not need to decode them as separate fragments. You will begin to recognize them as a continuous current carrying you forward. I am not giving you the ability to analyze the world in more complex ways, but a sensitivity that allows you to live more simply within my guidance. For the closer you draw to me, the less you will need to speculate, and the more you will simply know. Beloved, understand this. The light I give you never brings pressure. It does not force you to run in order to keep up with understanding. It allows you to walk in peace with understanding that is sufficient. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. John 14:27. And that peace is the clearest sign that you are walking in true light. You will begin to notice that there are responses within you that arise before your reasoning has time to analyze. There are forms of knowing that do not come through logic, but through alignment with my spirit within you. This is not unstable emotion. It is awakened discernment. When you encounter what is right, you will feel an inner expansion. When something is out of alignment, you will sense a gentle contraction, not to make you afraid, but to guide you in quiet adjustment. Beloved, I have not placed you in obscurity, nor under pressure to understand everything at once. I have placed you in step-by-step light, enough for you to move, enough for you to trust, enough to keep you from losing your way. And within that light, you will learn something essential. Not everything must be understood immediately, but everything is being guided perfectly. I am forming you into one who carries stable discernment, no longer shaken by many voices, no longer pulled by hurried interpretations. You will not react to every signal as an isolated event, but begin to perceive a continuous current of guidance running through your entire life. Beloved, keep this within your heart. I do not merely send you signs. I am leading you within the very flow that produces those signs. Therefore, you do not need to search for light. You are already walking in the light that has been set before you step by step. And as you live within this atmosphere, you will come to recognize a deeply peaceful truth. You are never left in darkness. For I myself am the light going before you, beside you, and within you, beloved. I seal this peace upon your mind so that you no longer walk in fear of choosing wrongly or missing what I am doing. No journey is broken simply because you were not quick enough to recognize every signal. The guidance of heaven is not driven by pressure, but by a living communion between you and me. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Psalm 32:8. You are not left to navigate alone. You are held within my continuous care. Beloved, the sensitivity you are learning is not the result of striving to interpret correctly, but the fruit of a deepening connection between your soul and me. When you keep your heart soft before me, when you do not close yourself off through fear or control, and when you live honestly within my light, I myself make discernment natural within you. You do not need to strain to hear, you only need to remain in communion, and you will recognize my voice in every movement that matters. You will no longer live under the burden of, what if I get it wrong? Because I do not guide you through scattered signals that leave you to figure things out alone. I lead you within a unified flow. At times a gentle prompting within, at times a closed path, at times an unexpected opening, and at times a deep silence that stabilizes you. Yet all of these belong to one hand guiding you completely. Beloved, the signs of heaven are not given as a burden for those who seek to control every detail, nor as a source of confusion. They are given to those who know how to listen, not with tension, but with a spirit at rest in me. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. In that knowing, you are no longer an observer trying to decode, but one who lives within the guidance itself. Beloved, I desire you to step forward with a spiritual confidence that does not originate from yourself, but from the assurance that I am at work in every dimension of your life. I go before you to prepare the way. I walk beside you to keep you in awareness, and I stand behind you so that nothing of your life is lost or falls outside of my purpose. There is not a single moment in which you are outside of this care. You do not walk alone in discerning my will. You are being led from the inside outward, from inner light to outward confirmation, from deep silence to clarity at the appointed time, and throughout this entire process, I do not change my position. It is you who are being brought into a clearer awareness of what has always been present. Therefore, beloved, continue to walk, not with the anxiety of needing to interpret every sign correctly, but with the steadiness of one who knows they are being led. You do not need to run ahead of me. nor do you need to hold back out of fear of error. Simply remain soft before me, and you will always remain in the rhythm of heaven, and as you walk in this way, you will come to understand something profound. What matters is not that you grasp every sign, but that you abide in the one who forms them all. Thank you for receiving this message. Know that you are not merely a listener. You are one, chosen to live daily within the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to Amen. My child, before you step into any connection that lies ahead on your life's journey, I want you to linger deeply in stillness and listen to what I am engraving into your soul, not as a fleeting reminder, but as a seal, impressed with the solemn weight of everlasting love. I have led you through many paths where you once believed that love meant holding tightly, binding yourself, and surrendering who you are in order to belong. Yet I have drawn you out of those distorted structures, places where your worth was obscured, where you were pressed under the weight of control, and where affection no longer flowed as a life-giving stream, but became an invisible chain. As it is written, I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly. John 10:10. Not that you should be diminished within relationships that drain your soul. Now, as I look upon you, I no longer see who you once were. You have passed through seasons where tears were your constant companion, seasons where you felt left behind, seasons where you loved from a place of lack and received only emptiness in return. Yet even in those places, I never departed from you. I rewrote you from within, layer by layer, so that you would no longer live by the trembling fear of abandonment, but by the steadiness of a soul that knows where it belongs. And today, I speak to you with the clarity of light. Every connection in your future must stand upon the foundation I establish, not upon passing emotions or inner deficiency. Listen to me more deeply. Beloved, I am placing within you a new standard for the relationships that are to come. This is not the standard of the world, where people seek one another to fill empty spaces, but the standard of the kingdom, where two souls meet to be lifted together in my presence. The three pillars I set before you are unchanging: respect, protection, and freedom from all control. If any connection lacks even one of these, it does not bear my mark. Let all that you do be done in love. 1 Corinthians 16:14 is not merely an instruction, but the very structure of every relationship I permit you to enter. You are no longer allowed to return to old patterns where you must shrink yourself to be accepted or strain yourself to keep someone from leaving. I know every scar within your heart, every moment you gave too much and received too little, every time you believed you had to try harder to be loved. But I tell you this as a word of release. You do not need to return to places that once wounded you simply because of the fear of loneliness. I am the one who is with you. As it is written, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. My presence is not a void meant to replace another relationship, but the foundation upon which you enter every relationship in complete freedom, and so that you may understand more deeply how I move within human lives. Remember the story of Abigail in the days of David, when she lived beside Nabal, a man hardened in heart and lacking wisdom. She was surrounded by disorder and a lack of honor. Yet Abigail did not allow her soul to be defined by that environment. When danger arose, she did not respond with panic, but walked in wisdom that came from heaven, bringing peace instead of conflict, discernment instead of blind reaction. And through that discernment, I opened a new path for her, a place where she was no longer bound within a structure that suffocated her soul. That story is not merely history, but a reflection of what I am doing within you. I am leading you out of connections that do not reflect honor and guiding you into a place where true support and upliftment are found. My child, I do not speak these words to place a burden upon you, but to release you from the distorted patterns that once left you weary. I do not desire for you to love in fear, nor to attach yourself in dependency, and certainly not to be drawn into relationships where your freedom is suffocated. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Coríntios 3:17. And I desire that every connection in your life reflect that very freedom. Therefore, stand firm in this new awareness. You are no longer the person of former days, no longer one who is easily drawn into connections that wound the soul. You are one whom I am reshaping to enter relationships that carry the breath of life, where every bond reflects mutual respect, mutual protection, and freedom, untouched by control. When you walk in this standard, you will not lose love. You will discover the true love that I have ordained for you from the beginning. I am with you in every step, and I will keep you in the wisdom of a light that never fades. My child, engrave this deeply within your soul. In that place, untouched by the noise of emotions or the echoes of old memories, I am teaching you to discern between things that may appear similar, yet carry entirely different natures in the eyes of heaven. If you do not understand this, you will easily return to old cycles, where love is misdefined, where your worth is misunderstood, and where you lose sight of who you truly are. First, you must clearly see that respect is not mere outward politeness, not gentle words or proper conduct used to maintain surface harmony. True respect is a deep spiritual recognition. It is when a person sees you exactly as I have created you, without adding distortions born of fear, without dimming your light out of jealousy, and without reducing your essence to make themselves feel more secure. As it is written, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. And anyone who enters your life must be able to recognize this without attempting to alter or control it. You must not remain in relationships where you have to shrink yourself to survive or silence your voice to avoid conflict. True respect is when you are fully present, when you can speak without being dismissed, when you are heard without being hastily judged, and when you are allowed to grow without being constrained by the smallness of another's mindset. I did not create you to be diminished. I created you to reflect my vastness in this world. Beloved, I have placed within you a dignity that no one has the authority to redefine. That dignity does not come from what you do, nor from who acknowledges you, but from the very breath I breathed into you when you were formed. Therefore, the one who enters your life must be someone who reveres that sacredness. They do not see you as something to possess or control, nor as a tool to fulfill their needs, but as a soul bearing the imprint of heaven, a gift I have placed along their path, so that together you may grow in the light. Honor everyone, 1 Peter 2:17, and that honor must begin with how they honor you. Then comes the part I desire for you to discern with clarity. Protection is never the same as control. True protection flows from love. It is not constructed from power. It is when someone stands beside you to support you, not above you to dominate you. It is when they shield you from harm, yet never become the source of that harm themselves. It is when they take your hand to walk with you, not bind you with cords to pull you toward their own direction. You have passed through experiences where you confused care with possession, protection with control, and love with restriction. But I am bringing you out of that ambiguity. I am illuminating your vision so you may see that true love never causes you to lose yourself. As it is written, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. 1 John 4:18. If any connection causes you to feel afraid of being your true self, then it does not yet reflect the love I have intended for you. Remember the story of Esther, when she was placed within the king's court not to have her destiny controlled, but to stand in a position of purpose and protection. Mordecai did not guard her through domination, but through guidance and trust, allowing her to retain her identity and freedom as she stepped into a greater calling. And within that freedom, she became the one through whom an entire nation was saved. This is a reflection of how I protect you. I do not bind you, but I position you where you may become fully who you are. My child, I do not speak these things to place additional weight upon you, but to remove every false burden you have carried. You were not created to exist within relationships that diminish you, but to enter connections that expand you into life. And when you walk into relationships aligned with my will, you will no longer measure your worth by how others treat you, but you will stand firm in what I have declared over you from the beginning. Therefore, hold firmly to this discernment as a light within your heart. True respect is seeing you as I see you. True protection is guarding you without taking away your freedom. And true love is the place where you grow, not where you are made smaller. I am leading you into such connections, and I will keep you in wisdom so that you do not return to what once wounded you. My child, listen deeply to this final truth as though it were engraved upon unshakable stone, so that you will no longer confuse love with possession, connection with bondage, or closeness with control. For I speak to you with the clarity of light that cannot be hidden. Wherever control is present, love has not yet been refined by heaven. The one I have appointed for you will not seek to hold you through suspicion, will not use fear to direct you, nor place upon you expectations that cause your soul to shrink in order to survive. They will not attempt to confine you within patterns shaped by insecurity, nor build invisible fences that limit you to a lesser version of yourself. As I have said, I have set before you life and death, therefore choose life. Deuteronomy 30-19. And true love always leads you into expanding life, not into contraction born of fear. Beloved, I want you to discern this clearly. Control is born from the fear of loss, but true love is born from trust. The one who seeks to control you has not yet found rest within themselves, and so they try to hold on to you to fill the emptiness within. But the one I send to you will not need to do this. They will not fear the light within you, nor seek to dim it, nor attempt to reshape you to accommodate their insecurity. Instead, they will see that light and recognize that it is something I have placed within you, not something they are meant to possess. Remember the account of Peter when he was imprisoned, and my angel came to lead him out. His chains fell off on their own. The doors opened by themselves, and no force restrained him. Acts 12-7. This is a picture of true love. It does not confine you in a narrow place, but opens doors that lead you into freedom. My love never uses chains, and any love that reflects me will not do so to you. The one I have prepared for you will not cut the wings I have given you. They will not see your freedom as a threat, nor your growth as something to suppress. Instead, they will stand beside you as a companion in your ascent, not pulling you down to feel secure, but supporting you so you may discover a greater sky. The two shall become one. Genesis 2:24. Yet that unity is not the erasure of identity, but a harmony formed in freedom and respect. You have once been in places where your voice was diminished, where you weighed every word to avoid conflict, where you had to shrink yourself to preserve a fragile peace. But I am releasing you from those structures. I did not create you to live cautiously, but to live in the expansiveness of grace. And I say to you today, never again call control by the name of love. For true love never imprisons you. It does not build walls around you, does not place chains upon your soul, does not reduce you into something predictable and limited. True love liberates. It causes you to grow in safety, to rise in trust, and to stand firm in the freedom I ordained from the beginning. As it is written, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. And every love that reflects me carries that mark of freedom. My child, hold this as a non-negotiable standard within your soul. Anything that diminishes you is not what I have sent. Anything that makes you afraid to be yourself is not my voice. And anything that cuts your wings is not the path I have appointed for you. I am leading you into a season of healthy connections where you are not suffocated, not diminished, not controlled, but released to become fully who you are as I have intended. And when you step into such relationships, you will realize that you do not lose your freedom by loving. Rather, within the right love, you discover the deepest freedom your soul has ever longed for. I am with you in this, and I will keep you in a light that never fades. My child, allow these words to descend into the quietest place within your heart, where the echoes of past experiences and distorted definitions of love no longer linger. I am not speaking to you as a momentary comfort, but as a reordering within your soul, a realignment from the very foundation. The relationship I am preparing for you is not a place where you must seek permission to exist as yourself. It is not a place where you must measure every emotion, guard every word, or diminish your nature to preserve a fragile balance. Instead, it is a place where you are fully seen, unwarped by another's fear, unnegated by someone's immaturity, and undimmed by possessive expectations. As it is written, you shall be called by a new name that the mouth of the Lord will bestow. Isaiah 62:2, meaning that you are no longer defined by the distorted perceptions of the world, but by the recognition that comes from heaven. Beloved, I want you to understand this deeply. The love I have ordained for you does not begin with chaotic attraction or a need born from lack, but with a realm of peace. In that place, you do not strive to be accepted, nor struggle to be kept. You enter and first encounter a stillness within your soul, a stillness that comes from me. And from that stillness, true connection begins to grow. This is the order of the kingdom. Peace first, then connection, not desire first, followed by attachment. I did not create you to become a shadow following another, nor is a fragment meant to complete someone else's lack. You are not an accessory, not an addition. You are a whole soul bearing my imprint. And the one I send to you will not come to possess that, but to enter into a spiritual union where two stand side by side, neither elevated to control nor lowered into dependence. As it is written, the two shall become one, Genesis 2:24. Yet that oneness is not the dissolving of identity, but the harmony of unity and respect and freedom. You must engrave this as an unshakable foundation. You do not enter a season of love from lack. You enter from the wholeness I have formed within you through every season you have walked, every past wound I have healed, every former void I have filled with my presence, not to make you dependent, but to make you steadfast. And from that wholeness, you no longer seek another to complete you, but to walk together in the fullness that has already been given. The one I have appointed for you is not someone who comes to fill emptiness, but someone who can walk with you in fullness. And because both of you are complete in me, the connection between you does not produce pressure, does not create clinging, does not give rise to fear of loss, but forms a harmonious flow of unity. As I have said, love one another as I have loved you, John 15:12. A love not rooted in deficiency, but in the giving that flows from fullness. You have once walked through connections where lack met lack, and the result was always tension, attachment, and fear of abandonment. But I am cutting off that cycle in your life. I am not leading you back into patterns where you must trade away parts of yourself to keep someone near. I am not leading you back into places where you must live in unease to sustain a connection. I am leading you into an entirely different kind of love, a love you may have heard about before but have never fully experienced. Remember Abraham and Sarah when I led him out from the old land into a new promise. He did not walk in lack, but in trust toward what was unseen. And in that process, I did not merely give him a promise. I reshaped his entire understanding of the future. In the same way, I am reshaping how you understand love and connection. You no longer move from emptiness to seek fullness. You move from fullness to build. My child, I am opening before you a kind of love you have never known, a love that does not cause you to lose yourself, but allows you to become yourself more deeply, a love that does not make you smaller, but expands you, a love that does not require you to strain in order to be accepted, but allows you to rest within one another's presence. Therefore, stand firm in this. You are no longer the person of old cycles. You do not enter love from emptiness. You enter from wholeness. And I am the one who sustains that wholeness within you. And when you meet the one I have prepared, you will not feel yourself drawn into a place of lack, but invited into a peaceful union where two complete souls meet within my light and walk together as an alliance ordained from heaven. My child, be still within this truth, as though you are standing beside deep and quiet waters, where every noise of former definitions of love must fall silent to make room for truth from heaven. I do not speak to you through human theory, but through the governing principles of the kingdom, where every true union is born from order, not from the chaos of emotion. The healthy unity I am speaking of to you is not the result of fleeting attraction, nor the reaction of unmet needs trying to compensate for one another. It does not begin with captivated eyes, nor with impulsive emotions, and certainly not with the fear of loneliness that drives people to cling to each other in haste. It begins at a deeper level where I touch the soul and place within it a spiritual resonance. As it is written, can two walk together unless they have agreed? Amos 3:3. That agreement is not merely a decision of the mind, but a harmony in how I am leading both lives. You must understand that there are connections that feel intense because of emotion, yet do not endure because they lack a spiritual foundation. And there are connections that may seem slow at first, yet remain steadfast because they are born from alignment with me. When I shape two souls toward the same direction, you will notice something unmistakable. They begin to hear my voice in the same rhythm, not because they strive to, but because they are placed within the same current. They do not force themselves to understand one another. Instead, they recognize each other naturally within the guidance of the Spirit. You will recognize a union that comes from heaven, not by drama, but by peace. It does not stir inner chaos, does not cause you to lose yourself, and does not require you to strain in order to sustain it. Instead, it carries a sacred ease where you do not have to grasp tightly, yet nothing is lost, where you do not need to control, yet nothing falls apart. For God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. 1 Coríntios 14:33. And every union that comes from me bears that nature. I want you to observe this carefully. When a relationship comes from me in health, the weaker parts within you are not exposed to be judged, but are covered to be healed. The stronger parts within you are not treated as a threat, but recognized as part of the richness I have placed within you. And the parts of you that are still growing, the new dimensions forming through each season, are not pulled backward or restrained, but encouraged to develop according to my timing. My child, I never use relationships as a prison to test your loyalty. I do not place you in connections to see whether you can endure control. I do not create bonds that cause you to shrink and then call that love. No, I use relationships as a living environment where you grow in ordered freedom, where you are formed within the safety of what is right and aligned with my presence. Remember Paul and Barnabas in their missionary journey. When they walked together, it was not a forced attachment, but a partnership in the same calling. Yet when the season shifted, they parted ways to follow different directions without diminishing each other's value. This reveals an important spiritual principle. Healthy unity does not fear growth, does not fear difference, and does not fear change under my guidance. It exists not through control, but through trust in me, the one who leads both. Beloved, I am teaching you to recognize the signs of true unity. It does not exhaust you. It does not force you to anticipate another's thoughts just to maintain peace. It does not cause you to lose your voice. Instead, it creates a space where you can breathe more deeply, live more truthfully, and walk more firmly in who I have created you to be. Therefore, let your heart be realigned to this standard. Anything that causes you to shrink is not the unity I give. Anything that takes away your voice is not the environment I have prepared for you. And anything that demands control or imposes control does not reflect the kingdom. I am leading you into a new kind of connection, where two souls do not consume one another, do not control one another, and do not diminish one another, but grow together in the spiritual harmony I have established. And within that unity, you will not be lost, but revealed more clearly as the true person I have ordained from the beginning. My child, receive this as a spiritual discernment I am placing into your hands, so that you will no longer be led by fleeting emotions or surface impressions. For not everything that moves you comes from me, and not everything that appears reasonable in human eyes carries the mark of the kingdom. I am teaching you to recognize the difference between what is born of the soul and what arises merely from instinct. Love that comes from heaven carries a clear order. It brings peace before it brings joy. Peace is not emotional excitement, not stimulation of feelings, but a deep state within the soul where you do not have to contract in order to exist. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4-7. If a connection causes your mind to tighten, your soul to become unsettled, and forces you to remain constantly guarded just to preserve yourself, then, no matter how appealing it may seem, it does not yet reflect what I am leading you into. You may encounter someone who stirs your emotions strongly, who makes your heart tremble with natural attraction, but I want you to discern more deeply. When the emotions settle, is your soul at rest? If beneath that attraction there is contraction, unease, or a sense that you must adjust yourself to fit, then it is not my current. I do not lead you into places where you must diminish yourself to be accepted, for I have said, I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly. John 10:10. And abundance always expands. It never constricts. Love from heaven carries a beauty that natural love cannot imitate, the beauty of safety, not safety that comes from control, nor from knowing everything will unfold according to your expectations, but safety that comes from respect. You will recognize it in the way a person speaks to you. They do not make you feel small, do not use words to reshape your value according to their own measure, and do not create pressure that forces immediate response. Let your speech always be gracious. Colossians 4:6. And true grace always opens space rather than closing off freedom. You will also recognize it in how they honor your boundaries. They do not cross the limits I have placed within you simply to satisfy their desire for emotional closeness. They do not rush you beyond the pace at which I am leading you. For love from heaven is not hurried. It is patient. It waits, and it respects the formation process of the soul. As it is written, love is patient. 1 Corinthians 13:4. And that patience is not delay, but reverence for my appointed timing. My child, remember this with particular clarity. Anything that causes you to withdraw in order to avoid conflict, or forces you to edit your own nature just to maintain peace, is not the environment I have intended for you. I did not create you to live in a state of self-censorship of the soul. I created you to live in the freedom of light. The one I have appointed for you will not fragment you into parts to make you easier to understand, control, or define. They will not attempt to simplify you to fit within their limitations. Instead, they will see the depth, complexity, and light within you, and rather than fearing it, they will honor it. They will not diminish you to feel secure, but will grow alongside you so that both of you expand under my guidance. Remember the account of Elizabeth and Mary in Scripture. When Mary carried the promise, Elizabeth did not cause her to doubt herself, nor diminish her because of difference, but affirmed what heaven was doing within her. Luke 1:45. This is the image of a connection from heaven. It confirms what I am doing in you, rather than denying it. Beloved, I am not merely giving you a list for discernment. I am retraining your spiritual intuition, so that you no longer confuse emotional stirring with the leading of the Spirit. No longer call tension destiny. No longer call control love. And no longer trade the peace of your soul just to maintain a connection. Therefore, let this standard become your foundation. Love from heaven always carries peace, always honors boundaries, always creates space for growth, and always makes you more whole rather than smaller. And when you encounter what is right, you will not need to struggle to keep it, because it will naturally align with the life I have already placed within you from the beginning. My child, engrave this within you as an unchanging spiritual principle. For this is how I guard you, even when you do not yet have the experience to discern everything through natural sight. Love that comes from heaven does not carry haste within it. It does not race against time, does not panic in moments of slowness, nor does it attempt to force everything to happen at once to prove that it is real. As it is written, he who believes will not be in haste. Isaiah 28:16. For what comes from me always carries the rhythm of steadiness, not the rhythm of pressure. You will recognize true love not through an initial explosion of emotion, but through the quiet maturation of a gentle current. When you are within the right current, your soul will not be driven into chaos or overwhelm, but will gradually feel as though it is being brought back to a familiar place, a stillness that you do not have to strive to maintain. My child, learn to discern this. When it is from me, you are not overwhelmed but supported. Right presence does not disorient your emotions, does not cause you to lose inner balance, but lifts you gently, allowing you to feel safe to be yourself. As it is written, he leads me beside still waters. Psalm 23:2, a picture of guidance that does not impose pressure but brings deep rest to the soul. You will also know it is from me when you no longer feel the need to escape yourself within that connection, but instead begin to desire growth within it. True love does not make you want to step outside yourself to feel comfortable, but draws you into becoming more whole, more clear, and more deeply aligned with who I created you to be. This is the sign of spiritual life at work. You will know it is from me when you sense companionship rather than control. Companionship is when two souls walk together in freedom, oriented toward me, growing side by side without either being forced to change their essence in order to sustain the connection. Control, by contrast, causes contraction. It makes you afraid of missteps, compels you to constantly adjust yourself to maintain an artificial stability. But I have said, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. And everything that comes from me bears that mark of freedom. Beloved, love from heaven does not require you to trade away who you are. It does not take your peace in exchange for someone's presence. It does not demand that you pay with inner exhaustion just to preserve a connection. Instead, it invites you into growth, draws you toward life, and makes you more complete with every step. It does not say stay at all costs, but says grow in me. And now I want you to understand how I protect you from connections that are not from me. For I know you have walked through seasons where you thought you were loved, but in truth, you were being depleted. I have seen it clearly, and I will not allow that pattern to repeat in your life. Before you step into a misaligned connection, I place within your soul subtle signals, a quiet unease you cannot fully explain, a sense of misalignment even when everything appears reasonable, or a fleeting thought that something is not right. You have often ignored these signals, fearing that you are overthinking. But I tell you, this is not doubt, it is spiritual warning from me. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. Isaiah 30:21. I do not shout for you to hear, but I guide you through sensitivity within your soul. When I desire to protect you from someone who does not carry life, I do not allow you to merge easily with them. Instead, I let you feel the lack of harmony, a sense that you must strain to sustain the connection, to keep the conversation alive, to force alignment, while something within you is quietly being drained. You will know it is not from me when after each interaction you feel diminished rather than filled, when you must sacrifice your peace in exchange for attention, care, or what is called affection from the other person. But I speak this to you with clarity. I never place you in a relationship where you must pay with your inner peace. My child, learn to honor those signals as my voice. Do not dismiss them simply because of outward attraction. Do not trade the deep peace within you just to preserve a connection that is quietly wearing you down. For I do not lead you into places where you must lose yourself in order to be loved. I am leading you into a new order of love where peace is not sacrificed, where companionship is not controlled, where growth is nurtured, and where you never have to leave yourself in order to belong to another. And within that order, you will come to understand what is right from me does not only come to you, but also preserves you in the wholeness I established from the beginning. My child, continue to listen with a quiet mind, for what I am forming within you is not fear but deep discernment, so that you are no longer lost in the cycles of old emotions. I do not allow you to walk blindly in relationships, nor do I leave you to relearn the same lesson through tears. One of the clear signs I use to protect you is the repetition of painful patterns. When you find yourself repeatedly falling into the same condition, being overlooked, waiting for attention, feeling that you are never enough, constantly striving to be noticed, you must understand that this is not the flow of love, but a spiritual warning repeating itself to awaken you. As it is written, examine yourselves. 2 Corinthians 13:5. For I do not lead you in cycles of recurring lack, but through a process of healing that brings you out of them. I never send into your life a relationship where you must beg to be loved, nor do I place you in a position where you must chase to maintain what should be established in clarity. Love from me does not create uncertainty about your worth. You will not have to wake each day wondering where you stand in another's heart, or guessing whether your presence is still being held. The one I have appointed for you will not bring such instability. They will not cause you to shrink in anxiety, but will reflect the steadiness I have already placed within you. You must understand this deeply. The one I send does not carry emotional chaos, but carries the frequency of peace I have sown into your soul. As I have said, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. John 14:27. That peace does not fluctuate with mood, does not change with distance, and does not disappear in times of testing. It is the mark of what is right. My child, I also protect you through a mechanism you often do not understand in the moment. When I close doors, there are times when you believe you are moving towards something good, yet within you there is a subtle misalignment, and I begin to slow everything down. A conversation loses its depth. A connection that once flowed becomes inconsistent. A promise is no longer repeated. A plan that seemed clear dissolves into uncertainty, and you feel as though you are being left behind. But beloved, I tell you with the truth of heaven, this is not abandonment, it is protection. As it is written, for I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace and not for harm. Jeremiah 29:11. When I close a door, I do not do so randomly, but with the wisdom of one who sees what you cannot yet see. I do not close doors to wound you, but to prevent you from going deeper into what does not belong to you. I do not sever connections to punish you, but to redirect you toward what carries true life. You may think you are losing something, but in truth, you are being kept from a cycle that would continue to drain you. I will not allow you to remain trapped in misaligned connections simply because you have already begun to hope in them. You must remember this. When a door is closed by me, it is always directional, never destructive. It leads you out of repeated pain and into the newness of proper order. If you look back, you will see that I have never closed a door without opening another way for you, even if at first you did not recognize it. And I want you to understand this. The repetition of pain is an alarm, but the closing of a door is a protective hand. One comes to awaken you, the other comes to lead you out of danger. Both are expressions of my love, but they operate at different depths of protection. My child, I am leading you to a place where you no longer have to live in uncertainty, no longer chase what is unstable, and no longer question whether you are enough. In that place, every connection from me will carry clarity, stability, and unwavering peace. Therefore, let your soul learn to discern this. If a painful pattern repeats, it is not destiny. It is a warning. And if a door closes, it is not loss. It is my guidance. You are not being left behind. You are being led forward. And I am the one who holds you in every redirection until you step into the right person, the right season, and the right union I ordained for you from the beginning. My child, be still in this moment, as though your soul is being realigned to its true axis, no longer tilted by past experiences, no longer pulled off course by unhealed memories. I desire for you to enter your next relationship in an entirely new state. Eyes no longer clouded by blind hope, a heart no longer driven by lack, a soul no longer folded by the fear of loss, but standing upright in the awareness that I am leading you within a different order. You will not return to the old way of loving, where you must strive to be kept, where you must trade your peace to maintain someone's presence, where you measure your worth through another's response. I have rewritten you from within, and you no longer belong to those patterns. As it is written, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You do not enter the future with your old nature, but with a being that has been reshaped in me. Beloved, I am not merely advising you. I am establishing within you a new standard, the standard of mature spiritual life. You will not enter connections that cause you to doubt your worth, nor those that require you to lose your identity to preserve peace. The love I have ordained for you will never require you to become smaller, so that another may feel greater. It lifts both in the balance of light, and now I speak within the space of your soul a spiritual decree, not for comfort alone, but for re-establishing you in the order of heaven. I gather every part of you that was once fragmented by pain, distorted by fear, or pulled out of alignment by experiences that did not reflect me, and I place them under one light, the light of love from heaven, where no shadow has authority to define you any longer. From this day forward, you are no longer drawn to what causes you to contract. You are drawn to what allows you to expand. From this day forward, your heart no longer inclines toward connections that make you question yourself, but toward those that cause you to stand more firmly, more clearly, and more steadily in who I created you to be. From this day forward, love that enters your life will not carry the mark of possession or manipulation, but the mark of peace, a peace that does not require explanation, does not demand proof, and does not rely on control to exist. As it is written, my peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, John 14:27. And that peace will be the measure for every connection you step into. If there is no peace, it is not a path I have opened. My child, this decree is not only to reassure you, but to re-establish the spiritual environment around your life. When I speak, my word does not remain as sound, but moves in power. And within that power, every toxic connection loses its authority to pull you back. Every misaligned pattern that once repeated in your life begins to lose its right to return. Everything not from me will separate from you without requiring you to struggle against it. This is not imagination nor a passing emotion. This is the restoration of spiritual order, as it is written, my word shall not return to me void, Isaiah 55:11. When I speak, it becomes a new foundation for your life. Therefore, move forward from this point with an entirely renewed awareness. You are no longer one who seeks love from lack, but one who carries my wholeness into the connection I have prepared. You are no longer drawn by what weakens you, but led by what establishes you more firmly in the light. My child, pause deeply within yourself as you hear this, for I am opening before you a season that no longer carries the imprint of past repetitions, but bears the mark of restoration from heaven. This is not a surface-level shift in emotion, but a transformation in the spiritual structure of how you love, how you connect, and how you discern those who enter your life. I have seen you walk through many seasons where love did not heal but fractured you further, did not lift you up but caused you to question yourself, did not bring safety but stirred instability within your soul. Yet I have not allowed any fragment of you to become meaningless. As it is written, I will give you a crown of beauty instead of ashes. Isaiah 61:3, meaning that even what seemed lost has been used by me to form wisdom within you, so that you will no longer return to old cycles. And now I speak to you. The next season is not compensation for your wounds, but evidence of your maturity. You are no longer one who is drawn into connections out of lack, but one who steps into unity out of fullness in me. This is not a place where emotion leads, but where heaven establishes connection. As it is written, all things work together for good to those who love God, Romans 8:28, but only when that union is formed within the order I have set, not within the chaos of emotion. Beloved, I am not only declaring this season, I am giving you the way to live within it. For healthy love is not only received, but sustained through spiritual discernment. The first strategy I place in your hands is this: keep peace as your compass. Peace is not an emotion but my voice within your soul. If someone enters your life and that peace diminishes, no matter how reasonable things may appear, it is not a path I am opening. But if that peace grows brighter, even when you do not fully understand, it is a sign of my confirmation. As it is written, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Colossians 3:15. Peace does not shout, it whispers, and only a soul that is awake can hear it. The second strategy: do not enter love from the fear of loss, but from the wholeness I have placed within you. You do not need to cling, to chase, or to reshape yourself to keep someone near. The one I have appointed for you will not remain because you hold on tightly, but because they recognize your true worth in my light. As it is written, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Jeremiah 30:30. And true love never arises from deficiency, but from abundance. The third strategy: slow down before emotion, but be swift in discernment. You do not need to make decisions when feelings are surging, for emotion is not the foundation of truth. I want you to see with the eyes of the soul, not to be carried away by first impressions. Ask this: is there respect? Is there safety? Is there freedom? If these three are present, you are near what I am opening. If not, you must pause, no matter how strong the feeling may be. The fourth strategy: never confuse compassion with love. I have not called you to rescue another by your own strength. I have not placed you in the role of carrying what I have not assigned to you. A relationship from me does not begin with deficiency that must be repaired, but with two individuals who are both growing. If you must constantly carry the emotional weight of another, that is not a union from heaven, but a misalignment of order. The fifth strategy: guard your boundaries as you would guard the sacredness of your soul. Boundaries are not distance. They are protection for what I have formed within you. If someone does not respect your boundaries, they are not honoring the work I am doing in you. As it is written, guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. The one who is right for you will not violate your boundaries, but will honor them as part of the holiness within you. The sixth strategy: look at their fruit, not merely listen to their words. Words can be constructed, but fruit reveals itself over time. Observe this: do they carry peace? Are they stable? Are they faithful? Or do they create confusion, cause you to shrink, and leave you disoriented? As it is written, you will know them by their fruits. Matthew 7:16. You do not need someone perfect. You need someone who bears true fruit, fruit that carries life, not pretense. My child, receive this declaration as a seal set upon the path of your life, not by emotion, but by the authority of the one who formed the seasons and appointed their times. I do not speak to you as encouragement alone, but as a re-establishment of spiritual order now covering your life. You will not repeat the old cycles again, for I have broken the pattern that once held you in repetition of pain. You will no longer be drawn into connections that weaken your soul, places where you must diminish yourself to survive, strive to be retained, or live in the instability of not knowing where you belong. As it is written, I have called you by name, you are mine. Isaiah 43:1. You do not belong to the old patterns, you belong to the new order I am establishing. You will no longer pour into dry ground that cannot bear fruit. You will no longer give the deepest, most beautiful, and purest parts of yourself to those who do not know how to steward them. I did not create you to be depleted in places that do not reflect life. I have seen every place where you gave too much and were not fully received, and I declare that season has ended. My child, I am resetting the standard of love within you, according to the order of the kingdom. This is not a minor adjustment. It is a restructuring of how you enter every connection. You will step into this new season with open eyes, no longer clouded by misplaced expectation, with an awakened heart no longer driven by lack, and with a protected soul no longer exposed to what is not from me. I say to you, The next relationship in your life will come in health, at the right time, with the right person, and in the right spiritual alignment I have appointed. You do not need to search in anxiety. You do not need to pursue in exhaustion. You do not need to live in a state of tense waiting, for as it is written, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10. When you remain in the place I have set for you, what is right will come to you in my order. You need only stand in your rightful spiritual position, the position of steadiness in me, the position of not being swayed by emotion, the position of not returning to what I have already delivered you from. And from that place, the union I have written for you will find its course, just as the stars move without force, yet remain perfectly aligned within the order of heaven. And now, to seal this word, I place one more thing within your soul. Your heart will no longer resonate with the wrong calls. Voices that carry chaos, instability, ambiguity, and control will no longer be able to reach into your depths as they once did. Instead, your heart will respond only to those who carry the same breath I have placed within you, the breath of peace, of respect, and of spiritual maturity. As it is written, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." John 10:27. You will recognize the right voice not through noise, but through a deep peace that cannot be replaced. Every former connection loses its authority over you. Every incomplete promise, every unfinished bond, every emotional cycle that once held you in indefinite waiting, all are dissolving under the light of this restoration. Not because you are striving to erase them, but because I have changed the spiritual environment surrounding you. You are now standing in a realm of light, no longer in a place of uncertainty. And within this light, I am preparing you for a kind of love that is more mature, deeper, and more stable. A love that does not pull you downward, but lifts both of you within the order of heaven. Step forward without turning back, for I, who began this work in you, will also bring it to completion at the appointed time. My child, now that this word has been established as a seal upon your life's journey, I desire for you to enter a deeper place of communion, where you not only listen, but respond with the awareness and humility of your soul. For everything I have spoken is not only for you to understand, but for you to live, not only to receive, but to become. And now, in the light of the restoration I have declared, let your heart soften, let your soul open, and enter this sacred dialogue not with haste, but with deep reverence for the one who leads you with every breath. First, let you offer to me your first prayer in the awareness that I am the one who has held you through every season. And in that humility, speak from the deepest place within your soul. Now I no longer come before you in the chaos of my emotions, but in the stillness of a heart that is being realigned. I ask you, the one who formed me, to continue strengthening the foundation within me so that I will no longer be carried away by connections that do not carry life. Grant me a discerning mind to recognize what is right from the very beginning, and a soul strong enough not to be shaken by what appears as love but lacks spiritual depth. Teach me to stand still when I must stand still, to move forward when you open the way, and to pause when you close a door, so that I may no longer walk out of rhythm with your will. And within that flow, you continue to lift your heart with the second prayer. Almighty One, I ask you to guard my heart from every disguise of emotion, from connections that arise out of lack rather than your leading. Keep me from loving out of fear, from clinging out of loneliness, and from trading away my peace just to keep someone near. Establish within me clear spiritual boundaries, so I may discern what is attraction from you and what is merely the pull of fleeting emotion. Grant me the ability not only to feel, but to discern, not only to be moved, but to stand firm, not only to open my heart, but to preserve the sacredness within me. Continuing in that depth, you enter the third prayer as an offering of complete trust. I place before you my future journey, the connections not yet formed, the encounters not yet come, and the doors not yet opened. I ask you to lay your hand upon all these things, so that no relationship enters my life unless it carries true peace from you. Lead me into connections that do not cause me to shrink, but expand me in spiritual growth, that do not cause me to question my worth, but affirm what you have placed within me, that do not exhaust me, but nourish me through right presence. I do not want to move ahead of you, nor fall behind you, but to walk in step with your leading in all things. Then you offer the fourth prayer as a closing of the old self. Heavenly Father, cut off within me every misaligned emotional pattern that has repeated in my life, every cycle that has caused me to lose myself in love, every memory that has taught me I must strive to be kept. Renew the way I see others, the way I see myself, and the way I understand love. Place within me a new standard, not one shaped by wounds, but by your truth, and give me the strength not to return to what once broke me, no matter how familiar it may feel. In the movement of your soul, you also offer your first thanksgiving as a stream of gratitude flowing from awareness. I thank you for not leaving me in the seasons when I lost my way. For even when I did not recognize it, you were quietly protecting me from connections that could have broken my soul. I thank you for every door you closed that I once thought was loss, but now I see as protection. I thank you that not a single tear was wasted, but each one was used to form within me a wisdom that no other lesson could have produced. And continuing in that posture of reverence, you offer your second thanksgiving as a deeper recognition. I am grateful that you have placed within me the ability to discern, so that I am no longer blind to what appears good but does not carry life. I am grateful that you have not allowed me to remain in old cycles, but have drawn me out step by step even when I did not understand. I am grateful that you are establishing within me a new standard, where love is no longer an exchange of loss, but a union grounded in peace and freedom. And within this flow of prayer, you lift your heart once more in deeper surrender. O God of eternal wisdom, I ask you to continue teaching me how to recognize your rhythm in every relationship. Let me not be carried away by surface attraction, but anchored in deep peace. Help me not to confuse emotional closeness with spiritual alignment. Grant me the patience to wait for what is right and the strength to refuse what is wrong, no matter how familiar it may feel. And finally, I offer this closing prayer as a declaration. I entrust my heart fully into your hands. Keep it from every form of deception, from every connection that does not align with your will, and from every old pattern that once caused me pain. Lead me into a season of mature love, where I am no longer one who searches from lack, but one who walks in the wholeness you have already placed within me. And when all these words have been lifted, I speak over you that not one of them has been overlooked, not a single measure of your sincerity forgotten. For I am the one who hears even what is unspoken. I am preparing you to step into a union no longer formed by insecurity, but by fullness in me, a place where you are not pulled in different directions, but guided in unshakable peace. Know that you are not merely a listener, you are one chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to Amen.